Hey, we love that umbrella guy. All right. Thank you.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThATuMBRELLAgUY. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
You know what? I talk to your mayor.
Police or zombie problems? Your tortoise won't stop breakdancing?
Try blue tape.
The miracle of our age. Yay! What's up, folks? Welcome to a Sunday edition, and this is definitely worth a Sunday edition. Today, we are going to be talking about, yesterday. I actually thought that yesterday they might be smart enough to take down that freaking interview, or at least try to hammer down and not connect Preston to the spread of it. And boy, was I wrong about that. Here you can see, for example, here's Preston wonderfully sharing this with Jeremy Hale's in the title, talking about him being a sadist, talking about there being a campaign and more. And I think it's based on the fact that if you look and you check out the comments on this, you'll find what I'm sure Preston was told, that this is not a protective order violation. The funny thing is, you don't even have to research. You can just do simple searches and find this out. But then again, this is the same guy who in this didn't know that the Violence Against Women Act is, it addresses more than women. It actually attaches to more than women. Therefore, the Violence Against Women's Act, since it also incorporates men, that would be on your protective order. Part of the interview with this thing we're going to talk about, the person that's telling them, yeah, it's not a violation, doesn't even understand why the Violence Against Women Act is noted in the protective order. It's the most insane stuff I've ever listened to. But you can see examples where people are talking about protective orders, and it's like, you don't even know what third party contact means. Okay, well let me show you a fun little dilly. Now you do your research on this, of course, but here's a wonderful question. Is it third-party protective order violation to do an interview about the protective party, or protective order, rather? It violate a protective order if you yourself have a third party give you an interview about the protective order? Yes, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely does. How is that even a question? Of course it does. Yes, speaking to a third party about a protective order can be a violation depending on specific terms. Now, you look at this involving a middleman. Now, it doesn't matter what you call yourself as the middleman. You can call yourself everything from journalist to Santa Claus. It doesn't matter. Remember, during all of this, which we will talk about the interview, we'll actually be in depth about that. Remember, this was mailed to Jeremy Hales. That's right. They decided they would mail it to Jeremy Hales to make sure that all of the things discussing the protective order ended up in front of Jeremy Hales, including, the name of that and everything. So there is no question whatsoever that they decided that they would harass Jeremy Hales with it. Now, again, they can try to argue the reasons why and wherefore, but that doesn't matter. Protective orders, they aren't well about that. That's not how it works. My Lord. Volpe decided he would mail it to Jeremy Hales after, of course, being told not to mail anything to Jeremy Hales. He decided that he would do that. In fact, let me get a new screenshot of that. 1 second. Let me get a brand new one of that. When this happened last night, again, it popped off about 35 minutes before we went live. And I was stunned. I was like, are you kidding me? Did you really do an interview and send this stuff over to Jeremy Hales? Oh, yeah, very much so. Again, they titled it something that it has Hales in the title. She puts it up. She reposts it. She shares it with his name on. You cannot do that. But they mailed it to. They have violated this thing in so many ways. It blew my mind. Here's the email. It's pretty straightforward. You can see Jeremy right there in the front of it. Notice that? Right there in the front. And Preston is all over this thing. She is. I'm not talking about just the interview. I'm talking about she is all over the comments section as well. Now, what's really fun is if you go through the interview. Now, like I said, I'm going to use a transcript for this. I have gone through. It's got my wonderful markings all over it because that's how we do things here. But you saw the title. First of all, now when you go through this, you have John Cook. Now you have to, if you haven't watched it, I mean, you can go look at the image. Heck, listen to it if you want, whatever. But it's a 38-minute item. Now, 19 minutes into it, they're going to start talking about protective orders. But they start talking about Hales right from go. And they have a lot, you know, they told me a lot without saying a lot. Like for example, you're talking about the guy doing interviews, the guy who is out there pimping them as innocent all the time, every day, some days, doesn't even know about the RV thing. He said things like, again, now I know there's an allegation that she lives, talking about the little kid, in an RV on your well, not an RV, but something like an RV. Wait, what? No. They actually had an RV, but they lost it, and now they live in a 15 by 20 shed. And that is what goes on with that. Now, it's strange you don't even know that at all. You don't know anything about the circumstance. They don't bring up anything about the money, of course. And they had a little thing in here too, you know. Some of the stuff they tell you, it doesn't match up with what they've been posting, what they've been saying. I mean, there's all kinds of stupid, you know, all kinds. You know, like, for example, let me pull up a post and let me compare it. Let's see. Give me a second. I'm getting a drink. Man, this is wild. I can't believe this exists. It is so crazy. I mean, for real. I cannot believe that this thing is real. Now, you have Lynette in there when she's talking. It's kind of funny because there's a portion in there where she's she's speaking, and yeah, okay. So she says at a certain part, they're talking about, now when I talk about I'm just talking about the interview. I'm talking about the beginning of it. This is not in any way, shape, or form me telling you to contact anyone. In fact, it is quite the opposite. I'm not telling you to contact anyone, any people that are involved in this, any agency, nothing like that. It's making that very clear. Now, they actually said that they were talking about potty training, for example. All right. Now, again, this is just something to bring up, to notice the discrepancies between stuff. She was talking about being reported to CPS, and her allegation, she had been reported 35 times to CPS. All of it has to do with Hales. By the way, that's what she said. Every one of them. They all do 35 reports, even though, like I said, right now, that would span Northport. That would span family members. That would also span the newest chapter where anti-Hales became anti-Preston, and they talk about CPS all the freaking time now. But she says, you know, the allegations are about things like not being potty trained. But she said in this that the child very well is, you know, they very well are. Now, I thought this was an interesting, she was asked, is your daughter potty trained? She's like, yeah, she's potty trained, but she has issues because of her neonatal abstinence syndrome, her NES, or NES, NAS. I went back to the Nintendo, the NAS. Now, I thought this was an interesting statement considering the other day in her own post, she says the following. She posted and she said, yes, P.S., talking about the child, she is potty trained basically, but due to you people out there and what you're doing and her issues now caused by all of that, of us and her, she doesn't want to be potty trained. Wait, what? Now, again, this call would have, she said that the new call was about, let me see. It was supposed to be about how they poop in buckets. There's nowhere to dump it. It smells there. That their kid is not registered for school and doesn't go to school. Like, these are the allegations she said that they were called about, and then goes over other allegations too, and says, well, this stuff's preposterous. We've taken drug tests. CPS, you're saying gave you drug tests? Like I said, I had a person arrive. Now, I do find one thing very alarming in this. They said that CPS has told them that if this is true, that they essentially won't take any call as it's real. Like they can't do that. It doesn't matter if that's true, and an agency is saying that your property has carte blanche and something happens to that child on there. It doesn't matter who that is, by the way. That is absolutely dangerous. That is. But they said, she's stubborn. She's 5, so she just doesn't want to do stuff. But as far as Volpe, it is not even knowing about the RV. They were like, oh, give me a second. Right in the freaking middle of something. Spammers. They remind me at least to turn off my freaking ringer. Here it go off. I forgot to turn it off today because it's earlier time. But they were talking about the RV. They were like, no. The RV we had, well, we had to let it go because of black mold. And right now, we're in the process of buying. It's like, you're in the process of buying. Like, who gave you money? I don't think you're in the process of me saying, that's kind of like saying, currently I'm in the process of buying that $20 million house I saw. Why? Well, I have $50 in my wallet and I want it. There we go. That's all I need, right? That's how it works. That's not how it works. Now, again, we're working toward the protective order violation stuff. I mean, it gets flagrant. Actually, let's start with that. We'll come back here. You know what? We've shown this guy doesn't even know who these people are, and yet shills for them all the time. But as you go forward, again, you get into 19 minutes in, and they start talking protective order, and it is point blank discussion. You have Volpe say, well, so besides 35 and counting bogus CPS calls, Jeremy Hales has taken out a bogus protective order against both of you. Did he take the order out in Ohio where you've never been? And they're like, oh, I've never been there. Neither of you have ever been to Ohio. But you did send a letter to the mayor, right? The mayor's office. Am I right? And she's like, well, unfortunately, I didn't know that writing, that would be a violation. I didn't know that trying to destroy this person's business in Ohio, that would be a problem. I mean, that's what we're being told with this. Again, I'm paraphrasing with that. I swear. Because why? We had a spy in our midst. That's right. I didn't realize a friend of his was placed in our midst as a spy and whatever for him. His name was Robert Paulson. No, I'm just kidding. That's Fight Club. His name was Michael Dean. He convinced me that I should write a letter to a letter. Again, that is actually the way it went. To email to the mayor, warning their mayor what he, being Jeremy Hale, has done to our mayor and to our clerk, and to just be careful of it. Now that's weird to talk about, going right into that. Then after that, they they have Volpe talking. Now, this shows that I would never take advice from this man on protective orders, period, because he and these idiots do not understand why the Violence Against Women Act is quoted. Let me pull it up. Why Violence Against Women Act is noted in protective orders protecting men. You can look this stuff up. It's pretty simple. Now, if you don't understand this point that we're going to get to, we'll note this, all right? Now, I complain because I do not think it has all-inclusive language. These people, they talk about it because they think that, again, that act only includes women. You know, they actually do. They think that that act, since its title has women in it and not everyone else, that Jeremy Hale should not be protected under it because that's somehow fraud. For real. Like, for real. You have Volpe push his quote-unquote expose about how it's misused. And it blew my mind. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, they go through this. He's like, you wrote an email to the mayor, and that was the basis for him getting a protective order in Ohio. So they're talking about the Ohio protective order. Now, I'm going to read the pertinent portion of the protective order. You know what they don't read is the pertinent protection order portions. Things about contact, indirect and direct contact. See, direct contact, they somewhat understand. You know, I don't need to text. I don't need to call. I don't need to walk over. And they seem to have problems with those kind of things, you know. But indirect, they don't seem to get what indirect contact means. More than that, they don't seem to get what third-party violations, direct or indirect. Now, they had a violation that was a direct one. Again, sending that interview, Preston putting it up and stuff. They said, by the way, that her lawyer was he doesn't want her talking about the 2 lawsuits that she's in. I thought, well, she's in more than 2 lawsuits. Okay. But he doesn't want her talking about the 2 lawsuits. But he apparently, I'm taking that. First of all, I was like, which lawyer are we talking about? But on top of that, I think I can answer that for myself. That's Bruce, right? That's you, Bruce, right? Even though they supposedly canned you, you're still lingering, right, man? But you were okay with them giving that interview? You didn't protect them from the protective order? Because if that's not you, if it's another lawyer, see, if we're talking about the bankruptcy guy, that's the dumbest shit ever. I'm just assuming that would be you, Bruce. Although, again, you can set that correct. You know, if that ain't you, that ain't you. But my God, that is dumb. Whoever told them that doing this, that you can do this and not have problems, holy crap. Because again, look at them. They're discussing it outright. This isn't them dancing around the subject of Jeremy. They are flagrantly blaming him for all types of stuff. And on top of that, they are flagrantly talking about the protective order. They said, you know, he reads it. It said, petitioner presents credible testimony and evidence in support of a civil stalking protective order. The court specifically notes that the petitioner neighbors at their properties located in Florida, and that the court in Ohio must give full faith and credit pursuant to the Violence Against Women Act. Now, this confuses them, you know, why this is there, which we'll talk about after we make fun of them for a minute. Actually, let's talk about it now, and then we'll make fun of them for it. Well, that's right. So, if you don't understand this, again, that's a semantic thing. That should make sense right off the bat. But for just in case, here, we'll just do an overview, okay? The Violence Against Women Act is noted in protective orders for men because the law was updated to include all genders, protecting male victims of DV, SA, and stalking. Now, while originally focusing on women, that act's provisions now apply equally to all survivors, regardless of gender or sexual orientation, and are often extended to protect men in cases of, well, you have all kinds of stuff. when it talks about protective orders, it can be against partner, family members, but it can also be extended just point blank in protective orders. And it notes this: inclusion of all genders, equal protection. Remember, equal protection afforded under the law. Protective orders, often issued under, as it notes it, they are often issued under that. They protect as a way to prevent future harm by ordering these, I'm going to say accosters, because this place, it probably already hates this stream. So just saying, if you like the content, by the way, I know we are live early. Thank you. I've already noticed we have busted over 2,000 in. I appreciate that. I could not let this go, not talking about it. By the way, I'm not sure tomorrow too. Let me note this. Tomorrow, Megan currently is very sick, and she has been, she has gotten whatever her kiddos had. So I'm not sure tomorrow where we will be. We may be here. I may be here, I should say, but we will do something tomorrow. So I'm not sure who will be in charge tomorrow. Keep her in your thoughts and your prayers, of course. But just as a note, we do not know exactly there. Now, again, you can see that under protective orders, under that, staying away, not contacting, ceasing all acts, and it applies to, of course, that party and third parties more. Okay, let's go back to our notes now, because they don't understand. Again, the guy doing the interview and giving these people advice over a protective order does not understand that. This is a basic concept. So he reads through this and he's like, well, in there, the court, it notes the distance thing. If you don't understand the distance thing, since you have somebody across the road from them, it limits distance to 10 feet. And as far as parties not being on the respective property, if you're not on your own property, that's 500 feet. And the order includes internet, electronic communications. Internet, baby. Internet. You did catch that, right? Internet. Now here you hear them talking about. Now, you have Volpe then asks, now, John has told me he's afraid to speak about Jeremy Hales because he believes that would violate the protective order. Am I right? And he's like, yeah. Well, what gave you that idea? He said, well, just because the judge saying she didn't want it to be on didn't want this to be on the internet. And if we did, there would be consequences. She said she didn't want this to be on the internet and there would be consequences. Now he asks, now has Jeremy talked about it? Yes, he's talked about it. You know what's really interesting though? These people who just interviewed her, so I could very well make the assumption. See, you could make the assumption before and you could connect different things they've done, but now you have a direct tangential relationship saying that's the guy that ended up dumping the protective order into public. Volpe is the guy who did that. So who did that? Who gave it to him? I wonder where it came from. Jeremy Hales is also, what's that? Oh, he's the aggrieved party. He's the victim. I know you don't like that word there, but he's the victim. He doesn't have to change up his life. They talk about that too. They're like, oh, Jeremy Hales, when he was riding down the road and he recorded you there, could he have taken another route? Who gives a shit? Are you kidding me? Is this your stance for victims? It disgusted me to hear that because victims don't have to change up any of their behavior. They didn't violate anything. They didn't go out and cause another person suffering for it. They were found guilty of doing that. Hales can take any fucking road he pleases. If he wants to drive by on the property that he has, he doesn't have to take other exits to drive off of his property. He's not supposed to be inconvenienced. They're like, well, since he does that, he must not be afraid. Are you kidding me? Apparently, he has to go out of his way, drive around his property. If he doesn't, he's not afraid enough. That's wild to hear. But they know. They continue with this. So they say, here's Volpe. And the Violence Against Women Act, is Jeremy a woman? And they're like, no. Do you have any idea how he would qualify under the Violence Against Women Act? Well, no. Well, that's because you're listening to idiots, Lynette. You're listening to people. These are the people that are telling you that it's okay to do this stuff. And I keep telling you that you're violating this shit. And you have this is like you dropped a nuke in your backyard. You may think that you have a legit grievance, but you sat and talked about a protective order and a protected party, a party that you swore to the court that you wouldn't do this to. Oh my God. And ultimately, Volpe isn't the one that goes to jail for this kind of dumb shit. I mean, you can take bad advice because you people cannot. I listen to you and I think, my God, it must be really hard to breathe with that few brain cells clicking together, because you can't have fucking a lot of active brain cells to talk about the protective order that is against you. Oh my God. But they're like, no, it's not a woman. And then he's like, well, it just so happens I did a big expose on the Violence Against Women Act. It's constantly misused, but I've never seen it misused by a man, though. It can be used by men, but I'm not sure how. Sending an email to a mayor's office qualifies someone for protection under the Violence Against Women Act. You should check out my video, by the way, that I talk about that. I was like, are you kidding me? This whole part right here tells you that he doesn't even understand the basics of a protective order. And they are taking advice, which is very much taking legal advice from somebody. Oh my God. They are telling you it's okay. By the way, this is the same guy who has been told by the police, hey, don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. What did let's see what the police actually had to say to him. Because not only has he continued making contact with Jeremy Hale, sending him things, but it has been more. So here is our wonderful narrative on that. On 8/4/2025, talking about Michael Volpe at approximately 1500 hours, Jeremy Hale arrives at station referencing a harassment report. Now, Mr. Hale stated that he receives 50 emails from Michael Volpe, which Volpe says, I haven't been mailing him. Gee, I can show you 2 that just popped up yesterday. Lord. And I'm sure, well, actually, I can show you other ones when they send out and they want attention. When they're begging for it, they send a lot of emails, by the way. Like yesterday, when he sent out his first email at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was like, who cares? When he decided to continue going forward, then he puts out an interview. It's like, okay, I guess you can have some attention, you moron. But he provided a copy of the email. It stated, do not contact me again. You will be reported for constant harassment. You'll be in court, you unhinged freak. Information was obtained, Mr. Hills, for a report. Nothing further at this time. Now, 2 days later, 1340 hours, left a voicemail for Volpe. This is the police officer, informing him not to contact Jeremy Hales or they would be charged with telecommunications harassment. That same day, at 1342 hours, Volpe contacts the Peninsula Police Department, spoke to the chief there. He said, are you kidding me? I live in Chicago. Come and get me. Come and get me. You know they can come and get you. You dumbass. They can go across state lines and get you. What they do is they have the police there arrest you, dumbass, and then have you brought there. So wouldn't that be funny? I mean, you dared them. You yelled and you called, yelling at them. You've dared them to do it. But he was told, don't do that. And not only has he continued to do that, but he's continued to do that as a third party harassing someone under a protective order. Isn't that amazing? I swear. It gets better, though. It gets much better. Then they decide they're going to play the video that actually resulted in a violation. So not only do they bring up the protective order, but they bring up the very video that a judge said, that's a violation. Oh my God. So you can see them. You can see where they're bringing it up there. You know, I mean, they bring it up on screen. they have it play. And then they talk about Jeremy, where he's at. You love my you love my writing standard on this one too. It looks even worse because I was writing on the Word document instead of the PDF file document. Man, I did that one with my right hand though. Consider I'm left-handed. That's better than I thought that one would be too. If you can't read it, by the way, it says Jeremy Hales can't use road because protective order? The question mark. That's the question mark. But that's what he's saying here. He's like, all right, so Jeremy lives some of his time in Otter Creek. Does he have to drive by your property to get to his property? Is there a way for him to get to his property without driving by yours? And they're like, yes. Yeah. All right. So he chose to drive by yours, even though he has a protective order where he claims he's afraid of you. And they're like, yeah. He chooses to leave his property. He races up to where I'm on a walker, trying to measure a fence, and then slows down and starts filming. Now, if you look at Michelle's video, it's a totally different picture, right? Now, the funny thing about that is that was played during the protective order. The only reason we find that, by the way, is because Volpe decided to leak that publicly. Funny enough. But yes, we found that out from that leak, that video is the one that actually helped out in the violation, because the judge did not think that what they were doing constituted them trying to leave the road and not interact with Jeremy Hales. So they're supposed to, they're not supposed to try to interact. Oh, there's another thing in this I need to bring up too in just a minute. I was wondering, by the way, this is a question for you, Miss Preston. About 5 minutes in, you tell John to go find the child. Did you all not know where the child was during the interview? Now, again, that is not prompting for anybody to contact anything. That is a legit question to these folks. See, they apparently, they want to have their voice if it puts them in prison. See, they were so afraid to talk to somebody about getting their money back. But these fucking clowns out there, that they will let them drown. They will drown them themselves. You know, the people that talked about throwing them off the boat, that won't bring up the money thing, all of that stuff. Oh, well. Yeah, they'll talk to them. It's so funny. I'm afraid I'll be asked about the case. Are you kidding me, man? Well, they didn't ask you about that. They just asked you about the one thing you shouldn't be asked about. You know, you should have enough fucking sense not to talk about. He was like, but they were like, okay, so could he drive a different way? Yeah. He chose to leave his property, race up. Oh, well, we got that video. We got that. But at the time, he was like, but is that the only time that he's driven by your property? So that way? So Jeremy Hales, again, you see the point. He has a protective order. Now, if you don't understand a protective order, You, as the person under a protective order, are not supposed to have to adjust your life according to the person that has stalked you and harassed you. You do not have to do that. And the idea that you do is so mystifyingly gross. It blows my mind that they think that. But they do. They do. They play it journalist, but they think that. That's wild, isn't it? They're like, oh, no. Has he done it before? How many times would you say he's driven by your property? Hundreds of times. Oh, so he got a protective order and yet chooses to drive by your property, even though he claims to be afraid of you. Yeah, am I right? And they're like, yeah, uh-huh. So he's not supposed to be able to drive down the road. That's not enough fear. Oh yeah, he films himself. See, the thing is that they actually kind of self-own here, because then they start talking about the fence that they put up to keep Jeremy from filming. Now, filming, that's part of the way that you prove that you do fear a party, that you do want to make sure to keep them on the straight and narrow, as it were. No, I like to, Hazel, I see that. No, I like to write on it for myself. I do scripting notes on another copy, but for this one, this is my copy. Usually I do the PDF documents, and then I'll use a clean copy. But I didn't want to make two copies of this, because normally what I'll do, if I'm doing something, I'll mark out a pertinent part. Like say we're talking about 2Ls. Okay. This is usually how it goes. I'll mark out a pertinent part, and then I'll make notes on that for pertinent areas. So I'll actually listen to them 2 times. You know, yes, I will torture myself by listening to the parts that are timestamped there twice so I can make notes for myself. This, I was like, everything's pertinent. I'm not going to go through though and make just armies of notes. I'm listening to this thing one time, like thoroughly. I listened to it when it came up, and the whole time when it first came up, I was like, this can't be real. Somebody's pinched me. And then today I went through it on what 1.7 speed and just made notes for myself. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate that for sure. I'll do them. Like I said, I'll make normal notes if it is my usually second walkthrough. A lot of times, like on the 2Ls ones, those transcripts are like 50 something pages long. So usually oh God, those are torture, man. Those are torture live streams to go through. They are. You talk about people that do 6-hour plus live streams, even on double speed. It's like, oh my God. You know, a lot of times I would rather do, I'll go through, I'll read, I'll mark with their stuff, then I'll listen, mark some more, like if there's something that overlaps, and go through. Because I think I've only gone through 2, maybe 3 of their streams ever whole. You know, recently it was the Bruce Meltdown stream, you know, and Only Me. I listened to that one whole. And then 2 recent ones. I can't remember what they were. But until then, I was like, I ain't listening to all this garbage. This just blew my mind, though. Because you have he's like, this is John Cook. He's like, I put up a 6-foot fence, right? And that wasn't high enough. So this is a funny revelation here. They're talking about the fence, and the fence, you've seen the level of the fence versus the road, right? You've noticed the road is elevated versus the fence. So here they're telling you that when they first built it, you could easily see over it because it's a 6-foot fence. If you don't adjust for road size, of course, you are going to be able to see over the stupid thing when somebody drives by. It's just that is definitely going to happen. They showed a picture, funny enough, of the new fence, and but they kept calling curtains, you know. check out. Here's the interior of that fence, by the way. See, beforehand, this is blurry. So beforehand, though, you can see how short it is just by looking at it through here. And then they put this across. That looks awful, John, by the way. That looks awful. You ran fucking 10 across the top. That's what they told you. It is. It's 10. They ran 10 across the top. Instead of doing it right the first time. This is why you bring in a contractor and you're like, hey, I want privacy from the road. But they didn't. They half-assed everything. And then they wanted to, the same people that half-assed it, they wanted to half-ass their their barn dominium too. I mean, you look at what this ends up as. That's what the barn dominium would look like if you don't bring in a real contractor. It's going to look like your fence, and your fence looks like ass here. It does. It's awful. It is absolutely awful. It's also, I hate to break it to you, but a privacy fence, in order to actually maintain privacy, you have to have a square or a rectangle, depending on your, on your property. You need multiple sides. You had enough money to do that, but you didn't. That's one of the reasons you can't complain about it. But when you built it, one of the things you could not complain about was somebody driving by and them being able to see because they are on an elevated position from the road. It's only 6 feet. So they admit that. That blew my mind. And yeah, I would film every damn move that somebody, if I had the issue of somebody pulling out a pew, oh yeah. They were like, So he would drive by. He would stick his arm out the window with the camera and hold it up. You talking about the selfie stick? Now, selfie sticks do this wonderful thing. They're actually gyro stabilizers is what many of them are these days. The old school selfie stick, it worked to stabilize. If you put your arm out and you brace it, he looks like he's using an old school one, but you brace your arm in place. See, I used to use one for doing specific things with the kids. Got really used to using like knockoff GoPros. I would actually put a knockoff GoPro on myself, like going to the fair when the girls were really little. I would put one on them and I would put one on myself. It's so funny seeing the fair from a little kid's point of view. Like putting a little GoPro on one of them. Oh my gosh, it's the funniest stuff. But I might do that again next year because that's hilarious. But I would also use a selfie stick. And one of the things you find is that if you don't stabilize it against something, like old school, like against your body, or you don't have something to stabilize with your wrist, it shakes. So when you put your arm out, you can see Hale's, when he's setting his arm down, like you have to do that for stabilization. Otherwise, it will not stabilize. It will shake. It'll be all over the place. So, yeah. I'm talking about him sticking his arm out. I mean, that's redonkulous. They make it sound like they talk about the pew too. They blame Jeremy Hales for getting John Cook arrested. Now, Jeremy Hales wasn't part of that. Patty, the lady, they talk about Wes Dockery. They say, oh, well, the reason it didn't stick is because Wes Dockery, he was a con man and he wouldn't come back. Well, Patty did. Patty came back. But apparently, what we find out here too, they actually talk about how nothing has ever stuck to them for violations. And I thought, well, that's an interesting topic because Ohio thought certain things were violations. Now, perhaps that works toward the lawsuit that they currently have going on with Dan Owen. When you have somebody that has created a letter that tells people not to enforce a protective order, yeah, it probably has that effect. So they're making a point they don't really understand. But he says after that, he raises his fence with 10 by 17 more. Y'all couldn't do that from the beginning. See, this is what I'm saying, man. A contractor would have told you. Like, this is why when they raised all that money, they're like, well, we had 2 projects. The 2 projects were done. Therefore, the extra money is ours. Well, you didn't. You did a half-assed job on the projects, first of all. The fence wouldn't need a layer of tin across it if you wouldn't half-ass the project. And it's funny because according to 2L, which I would encourage Hales to pull this too, according to 2L, the fence wasn't something that Lynette or John wanted. That's according to 2L. They pushed it anyway. But they said that she didn't want it, they didn't want it, and they didn't appreciate it. That's again, 2L's own words. I've showcased them already through transcript here. But captured, verified for sure. But they're like, oh, then in order to film our property, he would go by on his tractor. This is all on film. Side saddling. He would side saddle filming. Let me see something. What is side saddling? Because I want to read this to you. Okay. So side saddling means, like if you're doing on a horse, it means sitting on a horse with both legs on the same side as opposed to astride. And then it essentially means turning sideways. So he's driving down the road. I'm trying to imagine this because this is the allegation against Jeremy. Oh my God. Oh, just imagine Jeremy here. He's riding down the road, right? He's supposed to be on a tractor. Now you've seen how wide the road is there in front of that property. I mean, you've seen it. We saw it a few times. We saw it when the police have gone through there. We've seen it actually, I guess, in multiple police videos. We've seen that. Now imagine though, riding that tractor, because the tractor is much bigger than a police vehicle. Imagine turning sideways with a camera, not facing forward. This sounds redonkulous. Man, I really want to see a video of that. They're like, he's riding side saddle by my house filming me. Oh my God. Oh, it's so good. And they're like, well, what does he do with those videos he makes? He puts them all on YouTube for content. Well, that's weird because they said that he makes hundreds of videos. You know, he's been by there hundreds of times. Look, you follow the progression, right? So they say he's been through that road hundreds of times. Every time he goes through, he films. And every time he films, he puts it up on YouTube for content. Why don't we have hundreds of videos of them driving by there? Hundreds. I mean, think about that. That means minimum hundreds, plural. That means minimum 200. You know, why don't we have 200 videos with Jeremy Hales riding by on different vehicles, side saddling them, doing old Western tricks? He's like doing a cartwheel over it. Oh my God, I really want to see those videos of that. Oh Lord. He's doing like Western tricks with his selfie stick in his hand. Oh, if he could do all that, he's a bad man. He's missed his calling. I really want to see that. He's like, man, you know what? The difficulty of just riding by my truck it's a little less severe than I want. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to climb out on the top while holding the steering wheel with my big toe. What is going on? Oh, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. They also, they're like, okay, so the protective order is just for content, right? He asks them point blank. That protective order, you know, the one that you're supposed to abide by and not be talking about, not be harassing the dude that's there for. Yeah, that's just for content, right? Yeah. I'm going to say that the courts did not agree with that. The court found that the original protective order, it was legit. They found that the protective order twice after that, it had been violated. Those violations were legit, which we'll get to. But then I get to this part, which just blew my mind. They were like, so you have Volpe say that that your lawyer doesn't want you to talk too much about the 2 lawsuits. But there are 2 lawsuits against each of you as well. I was like, wait a minute. There's actually a more lawsuit against Preston. You do know that, right? She has more lawsuits than 2 pointed at her. You know, oh my God. But what amazes me, yes, look. Now this is very hard to read. This is JC speaking, you know, for certain parts. But, you know, I know with the lawyer thing, but he's okay with the protective order. That's the first thing that struck me with this discussion here. I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that whichever lawyer you're talking about here, they don't want you talking about the lawsuit because that would be bad. I mean, actually, I would really be curious, by the way, if Bruce, are you talking about Fed 2 to them? The reason I ask that is, how do you serve? Okay, so this is a good question. Again, this has been brought up multiple times. How, and actually the court brought this up in Fed 1. How can you serve 2 masters? What I mean by that is this. If you're talking about, say, a Fed 2 case, right? How can you be a party in that case and talk to them about legal strategy? Because you have to assume that a person that is in that lawsuit as well, they're going to look out for their own self-interest, right? That makes sense. That's why some jurisdictions do not allow you to be a party in a lawsuit and to be a lawyer for people. In fact, that was one of the things that Belitha brought up for why Bruce couldn't be a party in Fed 1. Do you remember that whole discussion? He talked about that. So I am curious, are you advising them on Fed 2, which is connected with Fed 1? Are you advising anybody on it? Are you giving them advice on that? Because if you do, again, you know that potentially could be a real problem for you. So I'm very curious about that. I'm very curious who they call, quote unquote, their lawyer. Because I damn well know who is tagged into every freaking letter that these idiots send out. You know, anytime they want a mass email, they tag in themselves. It'll be him, paint chips, but then they tag in the ecosystem norms, you know. And there's only one lawyer popped in there. So are they talking about you, man? And if they are, like I said, I find that to be very questionable. And you know, if Lynette Preston loses a lawsuit, she may well turn on you heavily. Heavily. Especially when bankruptcy doesn't give her the protection she wants. I'm wondering if she's going to implode and turn on them anyway. So I'm very curious about it. But they know he doesn't want you to talk about that, you know? Has he ever put up anything related to lawsuits on YouTube? Everything all the time. Yeah, he has the right to. You have the right to talk about freaking litigation that you're in. You have the ability. The difference is you could have, here's the weird thing, Lynette. You could talk about litigation. You would just have difficulty discussing it without discussing Jeremy Hale's and violating your protective order. You know? And I mean that for you. I don't mean that for another party. I mean that specifically for you. You would have a very difficult time talking about your lawsuits. But theoretically, you could do that. You just have to know how to, what lines you could or could not cross. But you could theoretically talk about your lawsuits. The protective order is pretty well a no-go. Because like I said, you all just talked about Hales. You have led to increased harassment of Hales. You have motivated, just from the comment section there. I was pleasantly astounded by the insanity in the comment section. Just from the stupid. You have Lynette Preston all over it too. So her lawyer is like, don't talk about the lawsuits. But, if you want to go into that protective order discussion there, you want to have a talk about that. And while you're at it, you want to flood the comment section with talks about protective orders. Hey, go for it. It blew my mind. I was like, are they talking about the protective order? Point blank. Oh my God. She also, by the way, she decided to make comments that I'm going to be as nice as I can and say, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, Lynette Preston. And we can clarify something right now. You want to bring yours truly up? Well, we can definitely rumble, lady. So somebody was like, Preston admitted it was not a false allegation on body cam, talking about the police and ye old pew pew. Go and see Megan Fox and that umbrella guy for truth. Are you defaming the police who made a good arrest with Preston's admissions? And she's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're lying. And you're doing is reciting rumors created by Megan Fox and umbrella guy. So you're saying that the pew pew that was recovered at the property, the one that was supposedly not there because it had been sold, then one that had supposedly been bought back. This is from the police, by the way. The one that you yourself turned over with that is now a lie? Are you saying that what happened on the body cam footage isn't fucking real? Are you kidding me? I mean, this blows my mind. The denial of reality and the gaslighting from these people is unfreaking believable. There is body cam footage of them talking about the pew pew. The police, they know that eventually they don't admit to pointing it at, but they admit to pulling it out. It went from, I don't own it anymore, to, oh, yeah. Actually, you know what? I bought a new one. Yeah, he's had it all the time. I had to take it away and hide it because he's a drunk. Oh, he's a liar. He lies about everything. That's what Preston said. Everything. He lies about everything. That's also where we got the shed thing from. He's abusive, she said. He will call up my mother and he will abuse her. That was her words on body cam. He was so terrible to his ex-wife that what happened, I'm paraphrasing this part, what happened during their marriage, that ends up ultimately driving her to her end. But hey, happy times. They have her remains in a bottle in the shed, like some kind of morose freaking trophy. I swear to God, man, you can't make this stuff up. Like, this stuff is so crazy. And they're like, well, why did they drop the charges? Well, why indeed did they drop the charge? That's a good question. They said it's because they were afraid that he would try to utilize stand your ground. But you have to wonder if that's part of the whole, Patty said that they wanted to treat it like it was just internet fodder. We have the FOIA information from the letters discussing her too. And it is some wild stuff. It is wild stuff. But to say that they dropped it because now there's a difference. They drop it because they said that they didn't think that they could secure a conviction over that, you know? But here, like, check this out too. So you can see these idiots, by the way. You have people like Marla saying that this isn't a violation of a protective order. Why isn't it? We remember this is the same person that didn't even understand what a third party indirect contact could be. But since neither Michelle or John instructed Michael to send this stuff to anyone or addressed JH personally with a message, are you, oh my God, are you kidding me? You think you have to be like, hey, Jeremy Hale, here's a message from them? Holy Lord. Holy Lord. These people are the dumbest people alive, man. God, it blows my mind. And for people out there that say, like folks like myself are somehow being mean to Preston, I think we're the only ones giving her good advice, you know, because holy crap, man. I mean, you've got somebody, again, remember that here, give me a second. I want to pull up another document. Remember, the people we're talking about here are the people that have fundraised out of the ecosystem. You know, here's Preston's PR team at the time before they turned on her, pushing the fundraiser that, again, when you looked at Raised Offline, they've put over $2,200 in their pockets to cover. They put over $2,000 that they had meant to. Is there more money, by the way? I'm curious. Did you get paid more? I'm really curious about that. I'm curious about that. After I heard the $14,000 out of the money. See, I kept wondering why, out of all that money that was fundraised and collected, while Lynette Preston was so calm and confident about such large amounts of it potentially being missing, then I heard her bring up how the handwriting expert cost $14,000. And I thought, well, there's a big chunk out of it. That's something that they, you know, again, these were her words. She said to someone else. We saw the message of that. Somebody posted it up. But if she, you know, they're not talking about those costs publicly. But you know damn well the ecosystem did not. They didn't $14,000 out of their own pockets. And on top of that, they sure as hell didn't fundraise specifically for that. So where would it come from? It'd come out of that large amount of money they don't seem concerned about. Maybe because they know where it went. Again, I can't say that for certain, but that seems kind of crazy, doesn't it? If you're saying something costs $14,000 and, you know, you don't have that at all, where does it come from? Well, I wonder. And it makes me wonder what other money came from where. So these are the people, again, they're saying, let me pull this thing back up. They're saying that they somehow, that they're somehow in some way not connected. It's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. So then they decide to follow this up by talking about how there were police calls. This is them reading about one of the police reports. And what I thought was really kind of interesting about all of this is when they're bringing it up, they're stating, you know, oh, well, here with these reports and the videos that were attached to them, we were investigated and we were found innocent. Now, some of the stuff that had been reported, remember, Ohio disagreed as far as protective order violations. So you have to wonder, especially with things like what we saw at the town hall area. And I mean, I think that one was pretty flagrant. If a person arrives, they have a protective order, there are people there, they have to leave. They just stand there mean mugging and shit. They can't do that. It doesn't work that way. I have seen people that have been stupid about protective orders. But I've never seen a place that didn't want to enforce them until like this, just flagrantly. And they seem to make that. They brought up John going to jail. They were like, okay, so they blame, again, Jeremy Hales for 35 CPS visits. 35. They're blaming him. Again, specifically, they're blaming him. They also blame him for John going to jail with pulling out the pew-pew with Wes and Patty, that whole mess. They bring that up, and I thought, well, that's really interesting. They also bring up something else, too. They bring up running off with the money. Now, I kept thinking, that's really interesting. I mean, so we're going to talk about fundraising and money not going to its intended place, right? That's what they're discussing. Now, where have we ever heard that happening before? Would there be another time when that would actually be something that people should bring up? I appreciate it, Liz. I've got it set up for later for the thing. It'll be off this live stream, but definitely I've become used to people like telling me that later on at night because of live streams. You know, it correlates to that. So I appreciate the early note. But they're like, he'll put him in jail. Well, John, why don't you explain that? So here's John talking about what happened. Now he's saying the reason that he couldn't tell. This is kind of interesting change up. He's like, the reason that I couldn't tell what Wes had on him is because I didn't have on my glasses. Okay. So he said, there's a character who was driving by my place. He kept going back and forth. So you mean there was someone driving down the road? Okay. I went out on the road to see who it was, and they stopped. I backed away from them, went back and took cover because he pointed something out of his car, and when I was without my glasses. I can't distinguish what it was. It could have been a pew-pew for all I know. And later on, I found out they did have one in the car. Now, first of all, where was that discussed? EO pew-pew in the car? I don't remember that being a discussion there. Even if it was, as a fucking American, I can have a pew-pew. I can, very much so. Just like Cook can. You know what you can't do? You can't just pull it on innocent people. That's what you can't do with it. Or you shouldn't be able to. Apparently you can do that. Let me take that back. You're not supposed to be able to do that. But you're damn right. First of all, if they did have one, they're allowed to have one. I do not remember that coming up as a discussion, though. So this, again, how many times have we heard different pieces or different patchworks of the same story? Like now we have, I can't see without my glasses. This again, oh my God, this stuff, it just keeps changing up. But they're like, so the police, I took the word of this Wes character that I pointed to pew-pew. I never pointed that. And they're like, oh, well, I put you in jail for it. Oh, well, does Wes live there? No. So apparently, if by that logic, then anybody that is an outsider to Otter Creek, it would be okay for someone to pull pew-pew on them? Because that doesn't sound very good, does it? That sounds like a terrible way of living. Hey, you don't live here, no problem. That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how it's supposed to work at all. The goalpost, I never understood at first why the goalpost in Otter Creek seemed to move so much. It used to be, unless you have it on videotape, it never happened, which always blew my mind because I kept thinking, how did anyone ever get any crime prosecuted in the 80s or 90s? Or even before, or before that, How did they ever manage to police people, like in the 50s when nobody's running around with a recorder? How do you ever prosecute a crime? Then I thought, well, I've seen their I've seen their prosecutorial stats. Maybe that does explain it. But then I heard the allegations about what had been going on there. And I read the FOIA reports and I thought, oh, that makes a lot more sense now, you know. But they keep bringing it up again. I thought it was really interesting that they then say straight up, do you think that Jeremy Hales put that guy up to it? John is like, absolutely. Again, we are talking about in the middle of a protective order. They are yet again spinning some fantastical story. They said, and they tried to damage control that. They said he said in his own post talking about West that Jeremy, he needed content or context or words to that effect. I was like, well, there's a big difference in content and context. If I ask you about what happened, like these people work at a kindergarten level of understanding. So let me make this very clear. Content is what these idiots are to like me. When I look at them, I think, let's laugh at stupid, and I'm going to monetize. By the way, if you enjoy the program, I forgot to say, tell people we're live. We are early. There are a lot of you here, by the way. Thank you. Also, if you would like, and if you'd like to go forward, and you'd like to do more, consider Yield Breadsticks. See that? That's content. You know, that is how content works. Laugh at stupid. You know, making sure you're fun to fun. But context. When I ask for context to understand what is happening, that is a different thing altogether. Context means the circumstances that form a setting for something. Like, you know, when an event happens, I want to understand the circumstances that lead to it. That way, it can be fully understood and fully assessed. That's what context means. Context means explain that to me. Explain it in an A, B, C, D methodology so I understand how we got to this event so I can fairly and fully understand and assess. That's what that means. So when you say, again, I know the words in here, it says content, because again, this is a transcript. Transcripts, they do okay, you know, but they don't catch everything. Sometimes that's why I have to listen to this garbage here. I wish I could just read it straight up, but sometimes I have to know what it means. Because like I said, it says content and content, but they said content or context or words to that effect. Again, would he have potentially asked, again, people that are outside of Otter Creek, reach out to Jeremy Hales, wanting help with a situation that just arose, and he's trying to understand it. If somebody says that he needs content, I'm telling you, I realize some of these people, they drool out monosyllable, you know, but some people know a few more words than that. Context isn't really that's not a big fandangled word, by the way, right? that's not a very difficult one. You know, the idea of asking for context, that's what we do every day. We laugh at stupid, that's content. But we try to understand the stupid, that's context. See what I did there? Wow. But yeah, they're like, he's definitely put the guy up to it. Now, no proof of that. So then she tries to go through and play the victim. She tried to blame Jeremy for her having PSTD. Yes. And then it was corrected later. PTSD. She was like, I have PSTD. I was like, wait, PSTD? Is that some kind of, that sounds really bad, lady. PSTD. It sounds like when I go to the bathroom, it burns. They were like, PTSD? Yeah. PSTD. Of anything you can spell it as. That's not the best way. I had to make a note of that one. That's why it says that in the column, PSTD. I was like, what in the what now? What did you say? Gross. That does sound pretty bad. PSTD. That's gross. It sounds like a really bad one. But they also were trying to say that on top of that, the child is affected. In fact, part of potty training and stuff, all the obedience issues, that's not from parenting problems. No. That would be Jeremy Hale's fault. And Volpe jumps in, is like, wait. How are you linking that to Jeremy Hale's? How is he responsible for her obedience issues? Well, because she has fear and anxiety. What? She's locked away. She can't be a normal. But I don't understand something. I thought that she had a life-threatening metabolic condition, and that's why you locked her away. You don't get to have it both ways. You said she doesn't get to do things like a normal kid. But now that's actually not the case. Now it's somehow Jeremy Hale's fault. They also, they talked about, like, oh man, you know why? They shut off the curtains, by the way. The curtains. That was the if you haven't seen it, there's these big black tarps on the interior of the fence. And Lynette's like, don't show him anything else. Don't let him see anything else. You could hear her trying to whisper yell it. It was pretty funny. It's like, oh no. Oh no. But they were like, oh, well, we have to have that stuff. Why? Because Jeremy Hales, he's got cameras up in the air. They're 12 feet in the air. We have to block them out. Man, you know what? I'd put like 1,000 cameras over there. You know what's funny is, have they ever considered this, by the way, John? Have you ever considered this? Every camera you recognize, have you ever looked at trail cams and other cameras? How many are out there, John? How many? 1 million? 2 million? I swear. They're like, oh, cameras. Of course. I have cameras. I have multiple cameras. I'm going to say I have around a dozen just in my house. They're all over the place. They are affordable. They're pretty cheap. They're pretty reasonable to use. They're easy to hook up. In this day and age, I don't understand why more people don't have cameras around their property. I definitely have them. What's really interesting too is I have a camera that faces over toward my neighbor's property. They do not care. In fact, it helps watch like their driveway and stuff. If you had decent neighbors, I don't have to use the camera against them. They're not my property, but they are they're connected to it. There's something I value. Could you imagine if that happened here? Now let's roll back. I wanted to go, like I said, go over the protective order stuff. They also go after Megan in here. They go after a lot. Let's just say a lot. They try to establish how these other people are bad guys in their story. So again, we talked about some of this at the beginning, going to a point. They also said, interestingly, now they said insulated with air conditioning and heat as part of the shed there. Now, again, as far as the allegations of not having air conditioning, so they're saying if people are reporting their property for that, you know who said that? 2L said that. They said that they they actually bought the heaters for the shed, but they were offering air conditioning because they didn't have one. Now I was trying to imagine this 15 by 20 area. So they said they have king size bed, I'm hoping they're saying one king size bed, because if you had two, a king size bed is what, a 6x6? Isn't that correct? Let's see. King size bed with size by, let me see. It is a, so we're talking 76 by 80. So, I mean, we're talking, yeah, out of there. Let's just call it. I mean, again, on one side, it's more like it's almost like 6x7. It's 6. It'd be 6 feet 4 inches by 6 feet 8 inches. So it's a 6x7 and a 15 by 20 square abode. Now, again, you know, you can make those livable. I'm not saying, but they're noting they have a refrigerator. Are you saying in there? A potty. Now here, this is just a thing with a potty, by the way. Maybe the kid doesn't want to go to the potty there because they don't have an area that is their own. Maybe they've heard you, Lynette, talking about certain things that you accused as referenced by an email and by statements that you've made with someone else, that you have 3 people packed in that place now. And you've made some pretty heinous statements. Do you think a little kid heard, or worse? Again, I'm not making allegations, but you did. So do you think that could be part of the problem? Again, they note all this stuff they say is in there. All right. And then they start talking about the petition for adoption. You know, it's one of their talking points through here. But out of this, so they're going through, they have their discussion. And then all of a sudden, you have, I was like, what the what now? Right around 5 minutes and 20 something seconds, Preston, just out of the blue, says to John, hey, go find Harley. Now, I thought with that, I was thinking, you don't know where she is? Like, you have no idea? Because, you know, not, hey, go and check on her, you know, in a room or whatever. Go find her. So, man, you know, like, I can tell you right now where my 6-year-old and my 11-year-old, I can tell you right now where they're at. I can, in fact, tell you right now, because I could hear one of them walking a little bit earlier, I could tell you what they're doing in my house. They don't go outside without me. They don't leave my sight line ever. Maybe I'm overprotective, but you know what? That's okay. I'd rather be over than under. But it just caught me off guard. I was like, you know, you talk about all these terrible things, and yet you're in the middle of this being like, where's the kid? Basically, I go find her. Again, as I note, I'm talking about the issues in an interview. I'm not encouraging you in any way to make contact with these dumb schmoes or any agency. In fact, the opposite. Do not contact anyone. Doesn't help anything. So they start talking about George, saying George is called the CPS at least 3 times. Now this interested me because they were like, well, they're acknowledging that they've called CPS on you at least 3 times. I thought you said they'd called 35 times, because here they get into blaming them for everything. They say, do you believe that Hales and or his followers are responsible for most, if not all, of these calls? And Lynette Preston said all of them. All of them. Now, again, we have seen the anti-Hales people become anti-Preston. And they are talking about CPS and talking about CPS calls. And they suddenly start having CPS calls, they said, with that. Talking about the same issues that they've been bringing up. They also, they note they don't know who the callers are. So they've blamed Jeremy Hales. Even though it's so nuts. I swear, man. I was like, are you kidding me? Now, all right. Now, does CPS understand that these are bogus calls by a YouTuber? So again, they blame him directly for 35, which is nuts. Yeah, well, isn't that a crime? What are they doing for that? And they said, well, CPS told them what they're doing right now is if they get any more calls, which I'm going to put this out there. If they get any more calls with names, people are going to be prosecuted. Wait. So you're saying that if a person calls CPS with a legit intention, if they think a child's in danger, you think that CPS is going to prosecute them? I don't think so. And it's very difficult to prove intent with those things. Now, again, like I said, I'm not encouraging people to call. It is not going to help. So you don't do it. But to say that they're going to prosecute. Now, if they call anonymously, they're like, well, they're just going to let it go. They said, well, they've got to to prosecute them. They have to prove they're doing it maliciously. Say, wait. So that, yeah. How do you prove they do it maliciously? Then they start going after Rosalind Duke. John Cook decided to go after Rosalind Duke and saying, well, they were asking, do you blame CPS for this? No. Do you blame Jeremy Hales for this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they blame him for everything. Again, all of them. It doesn't matter. Northport, wherever, Jeremy Hales, Time Machine, whatever. It's like, yeah. I just turned over a video to CPS from Rosalind Duke. This is John Cook talking, who just did a recent one. I know she made it private, but I got it. And now they got it. They're investigating. They're looking into her for what to describe, to summarize what she said, that basically all the lies and stuff. They're like, she's inciting. That's what she incited. Now, first of all, CPS is not an investigative body. On their own, they do not investigate random people. If Rosalind Duke was not saying, contact these people, or Rosalind Duke was not the person contacting, again, these people have made their lives public. Remember, they want to argue this simple idea that these people are not public figures. But you have to remember, in the past, there was a certain lawyer that represents these people that said that they were celebrities. He said, you're celebrities, but we don't want to acknowledge that. So their own lawyer has admitted that they are celebrity, that they are known people. Celebrity, again, that they are public figures. See, it blows my mind. Like they want it both ways. How do you raise $100,000? Here's a question. How do you raise $100,000 and not be at least limited purpose public figure? How does that happen? How can you say that something is not an issue that the public is interested in when you yourself have managed to raise enough money that you admit to a giant freaking bash? You admit on interview to this giant frankenfence. I mean, what else can we call it? The frankenfence. My Lord, who paid for that $10? God, I hope to God that was all free, John. None of you paid any money for that, because that's awful looking. But they go through again. They talk about the CPS call. And then they start going into Munchausen by proxy. Now, this really gets interesting because they want to say that, first of all, they talk about Jeremy Hales. And Jeremy Hales they're like, oh, he said that he believed that Lynette had Munchausen by proxy. We know through her own family that her mom was diagnosed. Well, Lynette put out a post. I've seen it myself. I have a copy of it where she's talked about her mother. So that 100% is something that she stated. She did state that. That's not talking about her. Now, you could draw inference from that and be like, well, looking at these circumstances, is that the case? But to say what they tried with Megan Fox, it was strange because Megan Fox goes in, talks to Hales, and they note within this discussion, they note that, well, Megan never uses the term Munchausen syndrome by proxy. But do you think she's accusing you of that? And they're like, oh, absolutely. Now, she never said those words, but they take what she's talking about and they say, oh, she's accusing you of that. Now, what they're talking about is there's an interview that she did. She's talking about a source. And she says that the source noted that Lynette Preston was introducing herself to everyone as Ruby. And Lynette said that's an absolute lie. She has never gone by Ruby. And I thought, you do realize that, like, text messages are out there where you refer to yourself as Ruby, right? I mean, that is something that is provable. I mean, it's a weird little thing to put out there and to say is not true, considering, again, there is backup for that. I mean, this stuff is so bizarre, you know? That's good, aka Cat Lady, too. Aka Cat Lady said, yeah, you know, because doesn't everyone here, all us normal people, I mean, have a PR team? Totally standard for non-public figures. Exactly. You know. Do you have a channel dedicated to just, you know, talking about you for a year as your PR too? Monetizing you again, bringing in, again, one guy donates out over $50,000 by himself. And that's just for specific types of donations. That's not talking about supporting the channel itself or anything else. It's so wild. 1 second. Okay, so you can they bring up Northport though as part of this because I love it too. I love the fact that when Megan's talked about, it's always like, my former friend Megan Fox. It so cracks me up. You gotta admit that it's so sad. God, but you look so sad, man. You are the definition of the sad panda. You should see the pictures that the Chat GPT. I was like, God, it really thinks. I was trying to make thumbnails and let me see if I can pull one up real fast. They look really sad. They very much do. Not just the main thumbnail here, but you should see the other one where they make one of him. Because I was like, that looks too sad. Okay, so check this out. I want to show you this real quick. This is funny. So I told it, I was like, hey, I need a cartoon character of this person, you know? And look, look, this is what it pulled through. This is what it pulled through, though. Look at that. Look how sad it looks. I also noticed this is really weird. Are you broadcasting from a fake kitchen? Because that looks like, I mean, if you go back and you check out that video, isn't he broadcasting from a fake, of all things, if I were broadcasting from a fake position, I wouldn't try to fake it like I was broadcasting from a normal home. I would fake it like, you know, I'm broadcasting from the Taj Mahal or something. You know what I mean? But no, I look at it. I was like, oh man, look, I was like, well, make it more cartoony, but keep the sad and depressed look. Because it really, and it's like, here he is. The living Eeyore. Man, I swear. But yeah, I mean, his background is so weird. It's really, I mean, it's bizarre. Again, if you're going to fake a place, why fake like a sitting in the dining room? Oh, Lord. But my former friend Megan Fox, you know what kills me is some of the stuff he brings up about Megan Fox too. Megan Fox says like she was a pretty good friend to him. You know, she didn't, despite everything, she didn't think like he was a bad person or anything. So I had no issue with, like, no need to look into him. And she notes, hey, this dude right here, this guy that you're dealing with, this guy has he has been coming after me and doing this and that. Man, if you're going to throw in with this, I don't want anything to do with you. No, I think that's fair. You know, hey, come on now. You know, friendship's supposed to go two ways, but apparently it doesn't. Apparently, you become former friend, and they do live streams about you and crap on you all the time. That's awesome. It's awesome. But look here. So this is the Ruby thing. She says, well, you know, the Ruby part, I had a friend named Stephanie, and Stephanie one day was like, you go get 'em, girl, whatever she was. We were teasing each other. She made a reference to that song, you know, Ruby gets your pew pew. And she said, I'm going to call you Ruby. But me, I never use that name ever. Ever. I never use it ever. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, we have it in there. Oh, so they go through the kid metabolic discussions here. By the way, fever, I thought, so they noted if the temperature, again, this is just what I thought. I thought kids that had any type of really, I was going to say compromising issues, but any issue really like that, I thought you start contacting doctors and stuff at 100.4. Again, you know, that's just, it's a minor thing. It was just, they noted 100.9. And I thought, don't they tell you that if a child has a problem like that, it's 100.4? I keep thinking that's the correct number. Not 0.9, but 0.4. You know, again, that isn't trying to find a problem in something. It's just when I listen to all this stuff, I'm like, okay, all right, you know. But you can see, this is their entire interview, all right? They spend a lot of time talking about Jeremy Hales, which they try to deny. And then they go further. And give me a second here. Let me refresh this for you, too. 1 minute. I thought it's funny. If you listen to it, oh, it's so funny. Like some of that stuff. It is one time. The description too. So all this stuff again, the description and everything else, like they make the point that this is harassment. Now, how is it harassment? Remember, there's another thing in making contact. Remember, making contact, you can hashtag. I mean, this is discussed. You don't tag people in. If you look up third-party contact, posting, tagging them in. Well, look at look at that. Look at this. This will tag in their channel. So they did indeed tag them in directly for it. The description of the video itself makes contact. It makes direct contact. And it notes, I sat down with Michelle Preston and John Cook as they detailed how Jeremy Hale, tagging Jeremy Hale's in there. His merry band of hangers-on, like my former friend, Megan Fox, tagging her in too, made their lives a living hell. Again, they're supposed to be able to talk about Jeremy Hale's. They're supposed to be able to dig into its life, turn it upside down, do whatever. But, Lord, it's just like, it reminds me of when they were when they were discussing the 2 cases that Lynette Preston brought, and they were being discussed in a Fed 1 document, the way that they discussed those, they talked about them being Jeremy Hale's fault. Now, how were they Jeremy Hale's fault, by the way? They were Jeremy Hale's fault because Jeremy had decided that there should be sanctions, and asked for that after these people, they went as far as they did. Apparently, that's him somehow manufacturing a case out of something else. That's so nuts. So you see, look, this part right here too, look at this. It even talks about the protective order. So they tag him in, making direct contact. They put out all these statements about him. They note the protective order. Again, that right there, that is direct freaking contact with it. Then, the comment section is wild, man. You have the Mario gang here. You have everything from paint chips, like when you start going through to, you have, if you read through it, what really amazes me about this stuff is, again, you have people saying, hey, a protective order. They're talking about that. It generally cannot stop people from speaking about a person, as its purpose is to prevent direct or indirect contact, threats, harassment, etc. But they talk about the order and what it is or isn't meant to be. And people are like, they're discussing, and they're like, you know what? You need to look a little bit deeper into what a third party contact is, And you have them, again, discussing, they are all discussing protective orders. They are absolute to a video that Jeremy Hales is tagged in and had mailed to him. This is like giving somebody gold, God. And when you start looking through comments, you find Preston in them. Look, she's talking about the protective order. These idiots, they are publicly discussing the protective order. Would you argue? It's amazing. It's amazing. You have somebody out there like, hey, Michael, yeah, you just keep giving them more. Thanks, Michael, you effing putz. You're just assisted in the violation of protective order. Thank you so much. You're just making it easier. Come on, Jeremy, do it. Please do it. Somebody's like, how stupid. And Preston is like, the protective order was not violated in any way, shape, or form. You need to read it and stop listening to lies. They don't even understand how Violence Against Women Act fits into a protective order. They don't understand the basics of a protective order, but they're like, you don't understand protective order. It boggles my mind to see this. Again, she reposted this too. This wasn't just, like I said, she posted this on her social media as well. She posted it on YouTube. She's been arguing throughout the comments. This is like, it's freaking crazy. I would encourage people to, if you want to really read like some insanity and what these people, they have to say, just go through the comments and look at it. Again, you don't have to say anything and talk about it, but you have people bringing up, like, hey, in recent chats with 2L, there were numerous comments stating that CPS should be called. Her PR team and sycophants have turned on her, but naturally, Hales is to blame. John's sister called CPS on them at least once. So you see, it turns an argument, and they're like, oh my God, the Muppets. They're so mad about it. You can see Marla, of course, in there. You have Preston directly commenting here too. Oh my God. This stuff is so funny there. They're all over it. Look who's there. Oh, Christy Nunya. Oh my Lord. What a bunch of idiots. This is another level of stupid. Like, it is another level of stupid. But you should read that. I think you would I think you'll find some amazing stuff in it. These ecosystem twins, man, they are all over it. It's really funny. Like, I think, man, I wonder, in telling these people what they want to hear, have these people ever actually looked at the protective order? Have they ever really read it themselves? Oh no, yeah, that's true. Cynic. Let me hit some super chats. Let's talk about some stuff. We got like an hour, and then Hales will go live. So let's talk a few minutes. I'm boggled by this whole thing. It blows my mind. You know. 1 second. Let me make sure I've got something. One minute. I'm making sure something's archived. You know, that way it doesn't disappear. All right. So sorry about that. Like I said, I wanted to make sure something was archived. I noticed something. I wanted to make sure it was there. You know, there's also audio of Lynette Preston calling herself Ruby. Like, that's also there. So I think I forgot about that. All right. So Fallen Hero, my friend. What's up, Fallen Hero, by the way? I hope you're doing good today. And as always, I appreciate you, my friend. You're here all the time. I appreciate you. Like I said, you know, some of you, I feel like over the years, you get to know people. You get to know, like, not just their comments on a video, but you get to know them. You get to kind of get a handle on who they are and what they represent. And it's kind of cool to kind of see a person, you know, over time. And again, that's one of the things I love that we have seen with this. 1 minute. I'm looking for something real fast. I'm making sure it didn't cut off any supers. This thing is weird about it. What is 28th today? I'm going all the way to the beginning. It looks like Joan. I want to make sure it didn't cut. Okay, there you are. All right. It didn't show your gifted membership in the thing, but it shows it here. So look, between YouTube and here, I get a clear picture. So thank you, Fallen Hero. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't skip anybody. But Joan, thank you for that super sticker. I saw that fall in, by the way. I love super stickers. I love to be able to show them to kids. You know, I like to mark them. It's great. Polar Dark, thanks to prayers to the families of the LDS victims today. Michigan Church. I haven't even seen anything on that. Like, I haven't looked at headlines. Like, let me look that up. I haven't even. Oh man, that's awful, dude. Yes, prayers for the families there for sure. It's terrible with what happens these days. I mean, you see so many mentally ill people. You know, again, you have so much polarization, especially like socially, politically. You just have this giant megaphone, and especially mentally ill people, they have nowhere to go. They have no one to talk to. Most places have taken out the emergency crisis centers, and you know, they don't do anything until somebody does a horrible thing. And it's sad. It's sad. And innocent people get hurt. And I hate that. I do. So, you know, again, I hate when these subjects come up on the day they happen, when tragedy happens, because people, not everybody, but a lot of people have lost their ability to just say, hey, condolences, and let people grieve for a minute. And then at least wait, you know, if it's going to be particularly polarizing, I try to wait a day before I put out a polarizing message. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I won't do that at all, depending on the type of tragedy. But it is sad. It's sad the way stuff all the time. So again, prayers to their families. It's a mess. I hadn't seen it. I don't watch. It's weird because I cover current events that happen, but I don't watch the news all the time either. I miss out on some of that stuff, and I think you have to sometimes. I see people like I know people who cover like everything in the moment, and it makes them crazy. It does. It messes with their mindsets. Like it's sad, man. Liz, thanks for the 5 there. The judge said in the actual hearing where she verbally issued the order of protection, it's not to be used as YouTube content. Indeed, and these people have made it YouTube content. They turned it into that. They talk about Hale's mentioning it. Yes, he can mention. He did not bring out the protective order. He did not talk about the particulars of the protective order. They dumped it. It's set out there as this like kind of mystery for the longest time. Nobody discussed it or anything for the longest time. And then suddenly it pops up. How does that happen? Huh. Jane, what's up, Jane? Thank you for the gifted membership. Thank you, Jane. That is cool of you. Like I said, love those. I love that they give to other people too. They help the channel and they do that. So that is the double awesome. Appreciate it. Deborah dropped a super sticker too. I love it. Thank you. I like that avatar. That's funny too. I like it. Oh, I have my favorites. Thanks for the 5 there. I believe they upheld the CPO. LMNOP wouldn't have gotten this bad. Yeah, Dano with Levy County are as much to blame. Yes, I agree with that. If you see people become emboldened, their behavior, if they think there's no line in the sand and people are their own keepers, how far will they go? And I believe that, yeah, if you were looking at real, that's just like any type of law. I mean, you think about it. What keeps people from, I'm not saying this about them, I'm saying this about people, period. What keeps people from stealing? What keeps somebody from seeing everything you have and taking it away from you? What keeps people from taking petty slights and turning them into horrific tragedies? And I'm talking about most people, not outliers, where we see terrible things happen. But what keeps the ordinary person from doing it? Some people are motivated by moral and conscience, but a lot of people are motivated by law, by deterrent. They don't want to spend the rest of their life in a cage. If that fails, then people are told, as they're emboldened, that they can continue to go on. And where does it stop? And that is the scariest question of all. When you have somebody that has had a protective order against them that involves then where exactly does that end? Like if you let them keep going, and they're the ones that decide how far it goes, how far will they take it? I find that to be a terrifying question sometimes. I do legit worry about the safety of Jeremy Hale. I very much do. That is not a YouTube statement. That is an actual statement. I believe that these people can be dangerous. I think some of the enablers are dangerous too. When you hear people talking about like gaffing somebody and feeding them to alligators, there's nobody's there that you're hearing that's like, that's too far. Don't do that. And that's terrifying. Hey, check this out, by the way. Somebody made a mod where I was talking about like how mods, they should have like a wrench. I'm trying to upload it. Let's see. Look at that. Look at that freaking symbol there. Wouldn't that be awesome? I wish I could apply my own symbol for mods, because this would be something like this. Every mod would have something like this. Wouldn't that be amazing? They carry a big freaking wrench. Oh, I love it. That's cool, man. By the way, thank you for sending that over. I thought it was funny. Tracy, thank you. 5 gifted membership. Thank you, Tracy, yet again. I appreciate you. You are awesome. Again, I can't say that enough. I appreciate you. And I really, like I said, I appreciate the gifted memberships, because the message they send is, hey, everybody, you're part of this. I love it. Thank you. Liz, thanks for the 6 months. I believe the OOP is due for renewal. Didn't they extend it to 5 years, actually, after the violations? Wasn't it extended? Because that was the original on the 10th. And that was a couple of years. But if I'm remembering correctly, it got extended to 5 years. Now, again, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's what happened. God, there's been so much in this. You know, it's hard to remember it all. Where's the kid's bed? Yeah, 5 years. Yeah, see, that's what I thought. So it got extended to 5 years. So the order of protection, you know, I think there are some people in the ecosystem, when they saw that paper that they were showcasing, that really do legitimately think that the order of protection, nobody's going to bother with it because it's over in October. No muss, no fuss, right? And yet, I also wonder, I do wonder this. I wonder, after everything that happened with the protective order hearing, you know, when you're dealing with a local judge and all of that, I wonder how that impacts the ability to have that order. Again, you have the prosecutor. You saw everything that happened with Yale grudgejudge. When you look at all of that, how does that impact your ability to go forward? So, Writer Chick, thank you for the 16 months. I have an image in my creative twisted brain of you dancing around your office. Yeah, I think that's funny. I can see it with this song. Actually, I do sing along with a bunch of them, and you can't hear it, luckily. You know, there's a reason that I use AI to sing a lot of my songs. You know, but I definitely, behind things, when it's going, I'm singing along, doing whatever. I know the intro stuff so well. That's anytime it pulls up. Like, I don't even watch the intro a lot of times. I look at the chat. What I've started doing, in case there's an issue, you know, in the playback, I watch the chat, but I'll find myself singing along or reciting whatever clips there. It's pretty funny. And yeah, 16 months. That's awesome. And thank you there. You're all you do. Well, thank you. I appreciate you. Liz, what's up? Thank you also for the gifted membership. Thank you, Liz. That is awesome of you. Again, much appreciated too. What size is that? Is that a catfish? Is that catfish? I can't blow up the picture there. I used to do a lot of catfishing and stuff. I haven't been able to as much lately, but I used to go out, and we used to just have a grand old time with it. I loved fishing. If you ever get into Tennessee, there's an amazing little place that most people don't know of. It's called Dayton, Tennessee. You should look it up. Dayton. You can fish. They have bass tournaments and more there, right? Now they fill up and stock certain areas of it. So it's got to be a certain time. You need to make sure that when you're checking it out, it's when they're stocking all the fish in, right? But you can go to the parks there. There's the access for it is so good. You can go to their normal park, fish, catch bass. They have too many gar out there. You know, they've allowed invasive species of gar, but gar are fun to catch. They are so fun to catch. And I mean, you can get catfish, and like I said, you can fish them right off the bank. It's beautiful. Thank you again, Hazel. Too. I saw that in there. Of course, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think the notes on that are funny. You know, when you see my rough copies of those, I think they're really funny. Blah. Thanks for the 10 there. Volunteer court activity here. Okay. I accompanied a man on Tuesday for a hearing. Non-romantic order of protection violation. The violation was third-party contact. When I thought anti-eco couldn't get worse. Indeed, that's what I'm saying. You have somebody right here that helps out. They accompany people. You know, it's for hearings of order of protection violations. And when you look at this stuff again, anybody in their right mind would tell you, yes, this is a problem. if you were to contact most lawyers would tell you not to do interviews like this, not to do this insanity again. Lynette Preston and John Cook, they need to script what they say in an interview. They should have, they were supposed to have a friendly in there too. Volpe is supposed to be a friendly for them. I mean, think about that. You know, they're terrified that somebody like myself will ask them questions that would get them in trouble, right? That's why Lynette didn't want to talk to me and recover her money. And yet, look at what she ended up in. It's crazy, isn't it? Rewrite. Thanks for the 5 there. The visual of Jeremy driving past with a lasso in one hand, his phone in the other, John Boss in one hand, phone in the other, flipping bird. I know, isn't it amazing? Like John Cook, I picture, I'm going to have to do an AI picture of that. I am. I'm going to have Jeremy Hale's side saddling. Oh my God. Let me see if I can get that working. I'm going to see if I can do that. I mean, that sounds awesome, doesn't it? Him trying to roll up on a tractor. I would have used a shocked face too, though. One. Let's see. Oh man, I love this story sometimes. Again, it's terrible what these people have done. But my God, some of the stuff that comes up in it is so funny. So let me see. Make this character drive a tractor down the road, passing a property with a long wooden privacy fence with a layer of tin on top of the privacy fence. They're stacked. Now the figure needs to be riding the tractor. Give me a second. Side saddle. Doing tricks while filming the fence property. He is holding a phone on a selfie stick. Let's see what that makes. That may be too much, but I can always narrow it down. Let's see how that makes it. It'll either be awful or great, one or the other. I think you can make some real fun ones, though. Something to bark about. Thanks for the vibe there, too. Tug, he's riding side saddle on his tractor while standing on his head. So, you know what? Maybe he is the best entertainer ever then. You know? Yes, Liz. Thank you on that, too. Remember taking meds? Yes, thank you. I appreciate you there. Oh, man. Sitting in chief. Thanks for the... Congrats to Larry, the DUI guy, on his engagement. I didn't even notice his engagement to notice. So congrats to Larry, man. You know, congrats. That's good news there. You know, congrats to him. I said I appreciate Larry. Larry's a fun guy. And Chandler, I don't know Chandler as well, but Chandler has always been nice. Got any kind of communication we've ever had. We had a few, because I'm not a big communicator. You know, I don't seek people out and talk to them. You know, every now and then, like I'll run across people, and if I like them, well, you see, you know, you can see how that is. Like I'm a very, if I don't misuse the word friend. If you are my friend, you are my friend. And I'm a damn loyal friend. But I don't have a lot of people I call friends. But Larry is a friend for sure. I would say online for sure. And Chandler has always been very nice, very kind, good person. I've had nothing but just good interactions with her. So props to them. I hope that they are extremely happy. Oh my God, check this out. Oh my Lord. Yeah, check this out. Oh, this is for Jeremy. Here's try number one. Oh my God, this is what it did at first. Oh my Lord, look at that. He spin it around on his little tractor. he's selfieing himself. Oh my Lord, that's so good. Oh, that's magic. Oh Lord, I love it. Oh, I love it. Oh, whoops, sorry. Sorry, Craig. I apologize, man. I got laughing. I almost skipped over you, brother. My bad. Thanks for the 10 there. Not sure they'll buy you breadsticks. I'm going to buy you at least one. Yeah, with inflation these days, at least I get the breadstick plural or singular, if not plural, right? You are right. You're right. Let's see. Make the tractor bigger and more realistic, and make the fence, make the 10 on the fence older looking and discolored. That's part of the reality. We need to add some reality to it. Also, let's see. Also, make the fence look like it was put up by amateurs and not professionals. Let's see how that helps. Let's make it a little more realistic there. I like these though. All right, let's continue here. Liz, thanks for the 2. Context is very important. Yes, third DFS call. Yeah, I remember the discussion of the calls, by the way, too. I remember the discussion about some of that. I wonder what Jeremy Hales will talk about with this stuff. And this is crazy, but context is very important. It is. It's absolutely important. When somebody tells me something, I spend all the time going over this stuff, trying to understand context. You know, these people don't understand the difference between context and content. It's crazy. Denise, what's up, Denise? Thank you for the 10 there. LMNOP has PLSTD. And do not forget, her wheel is turning, but the hamster is. Yes, indeed. The hamster is off the track. I repeat, the hamster is off the wheel. Oh my goodness, that is true. AKA the cat lady. I did like this here. Yeah, not a celebrity, just a regular person. Yeah, because doesn't everyone here, all us normal people, I mean, have a PR team? I mean, it's standard for non-public officials. How stupid are they? Indeed, you know. I don't have a PR team. That's the funny thing. I don't have one, you know? And I mean, oh my God, it got the fence pretty damn right this time. Look at the changes to the fence. It's like I performed magic on this. Look at the fence. It changed it up like it was mind reading. Look at that. Holy crap, man. That's amazing. That is. It didn't make the tractor bigger though, but I have to take the wins as they come in. Let's see. Cynic, what's up? Thanks for the 5, man. Does this make Lynette one of all-based sources? We know how desperate Vomit is. Well, HG's mom have going on with, gross. That mental image, sir. That mental image, you devil. Terry, thanks for the 4 months there. Thanks for those who gifted memberships. Indeed. Thank you all. Yes, that is for sure. For sure. And thank you for saying that too. That's great. MSPJ dropped gifted membership too. Thank you. That is much appreciated as well. That's a lovely hummingbird, by the way. I love hummingbirds. We get them out on our porch here. I like your profile. I like hummingbirds. I like them quite a bit. So David, thanks for the 11 months. I watched the Volman video. Maybe this is the royal flush. Yeah, for sure. They're going down. Might as well go all the way. I don't know how they thought this was a good idea. The kid thinks stupid. Content Santa is early. That's right. Content Santa has been with me all year. You know, he has been, and it's been amazing. Thank you, Content Santa. I swear. I used to think like Jeremy was the one making the content Santa deliveries, but no, these people are doing it for him too. You know, it's so wild, man. I mean, again, why would they do what they do? The answer is obvious too. They do it because they're stupid. They don't have anybody telling them not to. First of all, they should know better. It's not let me be clear on this too. It's not Volpe's responsibility to tell them not to do something, but it's very exploitive, in my opinion, if they have these people and they're telling them to push these edges. I mean, this kind of stuff, again, if they end up violating, it's going to be spun. Oh my God, look what Jeremy did. He did X, Y, and Z. He's such a monster. But really, who caused that? Aussie Wombat. What's up, Aussie Wombat? It's good to see you, my friend. Dropping 5 giftos too. Thank you, Aussie Wombat. As always, man. I really appreciate you, Aussie Wombat. Like I said, I get to have, I love because my kids talk about Australia. The more they learn about it, the more they're like, it's cool, giant sharks, giant spiders, cute animals, just amazing stuff. Kelly B, thank you for the 5 there. Kills me. There's no gag order on cases. Jeremy Hale's protective order. I can't address anything about toward him or George. Indeed, on cases too, you don't want a gag order because they tried to, Jeremy should be able to, with a case. This is actually a good point you're bringing up here. With the cases, you don't want a gag order, but a protective order is not a case. So they, it has specifics about harassment and more. Like I said, they could talk about cases. You're right. That's a good, like I said, that's a good point that you're bringing up with this, the understanding of how, I mean, again, they think a protective order is just like a regular case or something. I don't know what they think a protective order is. I think they actually think that they have license to harass whomever they want. And it's very bizarre. It's very bizarre to see them explain a protective order because they don't understand how it works at all. Anders, thanks for the 10 there. Love your show. You're awesome. Hey, thank you, Anders. I appreciate you and love return. I love doing this. So thank you. Anna, thank you for the 2 there. Thank you for all your hard work. Well, thank you. A lot of times I don't mind it, man, but listening to some of these people's interviews and more, oh God, the worst thing to listen to are those freaking mod streams. Those things are quite awful. Quite awful. The 2L stream. 2L sounds worse than the mod streams, but the mod streams are terrible to listen to. They're just awful. That channel will die after this case. You mark my words. It will. It hasn't grown yet, but it will go nowhere as it's currently situated. It will do nothing. It will fail. It will collapse in on itself. But the 2L, it's terrible to listen to too. It is. I mean, they better lean into catfishing, because otherwise, Kitty Ninja, thanks for 2 years. Thank you, 24 months. I got my katana. Woohoo! I love it. I love the picture there too. It's great. I love it. Got your katana on. That is cool. I love freaking. I love katana. I had a little katana at one time. Cheap, it wasn't good. I love playing with that now. Real Ryan, thanks for the 2. Can I have a balloon pump instead of a spanner? Got to get a balloon pump, huh? that would be funny. I wish I could add them for each person. I really do. I wish I could like add one to everybody, like all mods profiles. I would do it for sure. Jada, thanks for the 9 months. Question of the day. Yeah. Will LMNOP show up for a depo on Wednesday? Here's the question. How many of you think that LMNOP is going to show up Wednesday for her deposition? If you don't know, she is supposed to have a deposition for the thumbnail case. That has been noted. It has been mailed to her. She is fully aware that it is there. Do you think she will show? I personally do not think she will show. But you think she will? Metal Mom? See, I just, in my gut, I would say a reasonable person would know you have to show up. I mean, it was her case after all. Like, this is the thing that's mind-blowing. You know, they're resistant to their own case. Like, they brought this, it didn't go their way, and now they're mad and resistant about it, you know. But the normal person, you would think, would be smart enough to understand, like, you can't just skip out on something if you don't like it, right? You can't skip out on being deposed or anything. I mean, it's part of it, but these are the same people that you see what they're doing right now. This is a different court than the one they've been in before, too. You know, they might have even got away with it in the past, but, you know, currently with everything that's going on, they're not getting away with it in the now. Give me a second here. What's up with that? I'm trying to see. Has Jeremy put up his live stream? Yeah, it said I cannot connect to his live stream. Give me a second. I'm setting up the redirect real quick. I'm going to direct link it and see if this helps. There it is. All right. I was like, man, it will not find it. I could not search and find it to tag in. You have to, the way you set up the thing, you have to tag it into something, and it didn't work at first. But Jed, that's a good question. We'll see what happens there. We will see. John, what's up, John? How's you doing? Thank you for service, my friend. You are a class act. Thank you, sir. And you yourself, you're a class. Again, I'm taking that as you served. And again, thank you for your service. Appreciate you, my friend. Buck, what's up, Buck Nicky? Thanks for the 6 months. You Botoxed up your lips and rolled and curled your other hairs. Ruby, we started a new con over there. I could hear that in the song. Good. Ruby, won't you get your poll? It's funny. Lisper, thanks for the ad too there as well. Good night all from the UK. And thanks. Well, hey, thanks to you. Love to you and appreciate you, you know, for sure. Remember, Hale starts up in 25 minutes. So, you know, I'm taking my time working my way that way. Again, when I finish up, I'm going to redirect you. Anders, thanks for the 10. Yes, 2L show is like nails on a chalkboard. No, sorry, worse than yes, indeed. I mean, listening to it, it's very difficult to listen to. The noise of, I can't even make it. It's very annoying. It is very annoying. And on top of that, there's no structure at all. It's quite literally hours. That's why it dipped to just a few hundred viewers until chaos and crazy reign. You know, when there's drama, of course, a lot of people will tune in. It's just like the Volpe thing. You know, with that last video, they got thousands of hits. Normally, they can't pull a couple hundred, but with that, they did. All they had to do is hang Lynette Preston out to dry. And, you know, that seems to be the new norm. That's something Lynette should be concerned about, because I would say that these actions here, even though they are directed from another position, you know, you have direct attacks on her from 2L and the gang. Those also, funny enough, they would be used in courtrooms. You know, you would have her own PR team that has been talking about how they, everything from worrying about our kids, education, and more. I mean, that's kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff that pops up in courts. But also, it's just horrible to listen to without that. It is so bad to listen to. And again, you've seen that reflected in the numbers. The fall off will be pretty big when it comes. You watch. Without Hales, there's nothing. So it'll happen like that too. Kim Sims, thanks for the $5 there. Thank you to whoever gave me a gifted a membership. Well, thank you right there. First of all, Kim, appreciate you. And thanks to the person that did it. Like I said, people, they very much appreciate gifted memberships. You know, it gives to a lot of people out there. And the message is I think it's a cool message. It is. I think it's a great one. Jack's mom, thanks for the 2. If she's a no-show, will they reinstate the default? Well, first of all, they're with the default, it's questioning. We will see what happens with everything. But if she doesn't show up, potentially, you know, you can be held in contempt or many other things. There can be some real issues there. This judge said point blank that he is going to hold them to the standard of a lawyer. That's what you're supposed to do with pro se individuals, by the way. And these folks, they have kicked this can down the road for, in the thumbnail lawsuit, what, 7 months? It's been 7 going on 8 months that this thing, they've been trying to talk about sanctions. So you watch, there will be a check written. You watch. They brought a case. It was garbage. Costs, they were accrued. You don't have the right to bring a case and not give people money. Remember how even Bruce understands this on its face. He says that it doesn't work this way or that way, but he understands it on its face. He talks for court costs. You know, he talks about wanting to get his court costs back. You know, he's done that in multiple filings. What do you think that's based on? You know, so it's based on the fact that people, they supposedly spend time or they spend money, whatever, and they're supposed to get their costs back. So he understands that on his face. But when these people talk to Lynette Preston, they keep telling her, oh, there's no case. There's no way you'd be charged money. Even if they do, you get to file it off with bankruptcy. And again, the allegation against her is malicious prosecution. So it's not a favorable look. Here's something else I don't understand. And I guess they're in it no matter what. But here's the thing. If they thought the bankruptcy thing would work, why didn't they wait until after there were decisions so they have concrete numbers to try to play off? Why are they just trying to play off hypothetical cases or cases that have not even been decided? Because, you know, like none of that's going to work anyway. So it doesn't matter. But why would they think, oh man, this approach, it's baffling. It is absolutely baffling. Pickled Ting, thanks for the 5 there. The bigger question would be not if she'll show up, but if she does, will she bring the items asked to bring? That's true too. You should have subsections of it. You should get an over and under on whether she'd show up, which I think if she showed up, man, if this were a real betting pool, woo, baby, you know, you'd probably hit the house on that. But then you should have, you know, the sub spinoffs. Will she bring the items that she's supposed to bring with her? That answer is absolutely not, by the way. They're not going to bring any documentation. They refuse to turn over stuff. You've seen it in other cases. I do not believe for a second that they would. False storm, thanks to the 2 there. And tell people about Dayton. Everyone start coming there. Man, I liked Dayton, Tennessee there. I really did. I I lived up there for a while. I lived on this road. I swear it was so steep that when I would drive up the driveway, I felt like I was going to be, you know how like old rockets, you know, they put them on a sled and they'd shoot them into the sky. I felt like I was going to be propelled on a rocket, like up like one of those rockets. It was so bad. When it would snow or ice, I couldn't get out of the driveway. I tried parking at the bottom of it, but it was so steep I couldn't walk down it. You know, I did rolling down it. I mean, I literally could not get to where I wanted to. It was the funniest thing. It's crazy too. Oh, Dare. Thank you for the gifted membership of Dare. Right? Thank you, my friend. Oh, love that. Love that freaking avatar. I was like, yay, what's up? I love that picture out of that corner. I love it. Sinking Chief, thanks for the 10 there. Any thoughts on Shizzy's tinfoil hat theory from last Thursday? He thinks BB is suing multiple YouTubers to set up a big lawsuit against YouTube itself. The suit against Larry is justified. It's possible. It's possible. Suing YouTube, though, here's the thing. I hear a lot of them say this, okay? I've heard them in the ecosystem from 2L to Lips and more, how they're going to sue YouTube. And ultimately, it wouldn't work. You know, YouTube notoriously, like many social media platforms, they have protections because they are, it'd be like suing the town square, you know? If I get up and I use the microphone at the town square, is the town liable for me using the microphone? Even if I go beyond engaging in speech, and it's been repeatedly noted, no, you know, the internet, you have tax deductions that are set up just like that. More, but could that be a plan? It's possible. I mean, these people, some of the stuff that they've tried and they've done, I mean, it blows my mind. The ideas, the ones that won't work, you know, they think will work. I mean, yeah, it's quite possible that they would think that. It's a dumb plan, but that makes it sound like an ecosystem plan too, doesn't it? Is it a dumb plan? Yeah. Andre, thanks for the 2. What would happen if Preston, had another meltdown?
Guess what?
No, hey,
I figured out Codsworth Fallout plushies exist.
Oh, really? So there's more plushies?
Yes, and I only need $5 more.
What do they own? Would you send me a picture of it?
No, but I got $32 and I only need 5 more because the shipping is pricey.
Yeah, that's the problem with it all. Send me a picture of it so I can see what it is.
Let me get it.
Okay.
Let me pull it.
Okay. I wondered why you had money and you were showing it to me. I'll look up, there's money coming down the steps in front of a child. Just like, wait a minute.
I'm sending. Wait,
all right.
What? Wrong thing.
I'll check it out in a few minutes.
But I have $32.
$32.
You don't have $32.
No, well, I don't have your $32. That's true.
I'm going to use this $32 for evil shenanigans.
Hey, by the way, I think you got your other $5. I think it just popped in.
What?
Exactly. There's S. Sean. You want to say thanks?
I can buy it now.
Yeah, you want to say
finally.
Look at that. So you want to thank S. Sean? Sent 20 there. And Rhea Rice sent 5 there too.
And it says, Sean, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I am now richer than any other child.
You're richer than it. I don't know about that, but you definitely have your money for it.
Yeah, now I can get the
All right.
file.
Send me a link to it. I'll see what
Have
you're
you seen Bob? Have you seen Bob?
No, I thought she's working and you can call her. You know?
Yeah, that's the whole reason I came down here anyway. I just wanted to point out those too.
Oh, Lord. They're funny then. She's like, let me wake this up. I heard her coming down the steps. She was like, stuffed animal. It's so funny. So Andre, the answer though, if she had another meltdown, I don't think it would happen the same way. I think this judge would not be the judge she would want to encounter. You know what I mean? So that probably would not be fun. Not at all for her. Rob, thanks for the 5 there. Sneaky Vomit, though. Link YouTube page through LinkedIn and get all those Hale supporters giving page views. Indeed. Indeed. I mean, you know, he's trading. Again, he's potentially trading the person that he's supposed to be helping out their possible freedom. But hey, get those views. Man, isn't that lovely? Isn't that smart? Isn't that beautiful? And thanks, guys, by the way. I'll tell her in a minute. She went back upstairs. But I'll tell her that she's pulled in, gosh, about $60. That'll be a pleasant surprise for her. She'll be like, oh my gosh. So Esha, thank you for the 20 there for Lug and Buck. Thank you. Rhea Rye, sent over the 5 there. It's awesome. Thank you. Nap, sent over 10. There's not a stain there, but it's definitely a stain. Thank you. Appreciate that. She's such a good kid, too. You know, she's been on a robot thing lately. She likes just sci-fi with different kinds of robot, like Portal, the game in the video game. She's been all over that lately. I love that game, by the way. It's fun. If you've never played it, the old game, fun game. Good puzzle game. You know, you get to find out how the cake was a lie. Good times. Linda, what's up, Linda? Thank you also for that. It's much appreciated. And Dwayne, what's up, Dwayne? Thank you for that 20 there too. Look, man, she's gonna be thrilled when she hears about that. You know, you know what's funny is the kids. You can tell she's feeling better too. You know, she hasn't popped up in a few days. You know, we get the odd hit from her, but the little one, by the way, she's out. She's not at the house right this moment. She's visiting, so she's. That's why you haven't heard her today. But she's feeling much better as well too. Just to know, people have been writing, asking about her, and I do appreciate that too. You know, but she's feeling much better. You can see it. She's starting to get that hyperactiveness back. You know, she's starting to run. It's funny. Her middle name is, she goes by like with her middle name. I just say this. Her middle name is Rain, Rayne. So she'll add stuff to it. You know, you'll hear me like mention something like when she's running, I'll call her Sonic Rain. That's why. It's funny. She's been calling herself that. She's like, I'm Sonic Rain again. I'm Sonic Rain again. It's so funny. Cynic, thank you for the 5 there too. Treat money for lug nut and odd ear. That's right. We actually, she calls, so her sister calls her oddball. and the youngest calls her oldest sister lizard. You know, she used to couldn't pronounce her name that well, so she just called her Lizard. I like that. I thought it was cute, and the oldest likes that too. So that is funny. What's up? What's up, Palmer? I'm gonna say Archer. I love saying Archer. I don't know why. Now that I don't have to, I still want to. Homestead, thank you for 11 months. Appreciate you. Almost a year. I know, man. Time flies when you're making fun of stupid people. Isn't that amazing? It's fun, isn't it? Denise, thanks for the 20 there. This is for you, Tug. LOL. Thank you. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, like I said, I thought about buying me like a video game or something. You know, I picked up a video game about a week ago. And the kids and I had a blast with it. We haven't played anything in a while together. So, you know, anything would play if it's something they can sit down and watch, especially if it's scary. Oh, they love it. So it's been fun. I'll probably put something toward that, like find a cheaper one and have fun with it. Sandy, thanks for the 2 there. It was my birthday last week, but I wasn't here. Oh no, we got to make that up. Let's do that right now. We need a birthday song. Birthday song is incoming now.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
From both of us to you.
to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happiest of birthdays.
May all your dreams come true. Happy
Happiest of birthday.
We love to have you here. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Here's to
a
another
million
year.
and a half. That's right. More and more years. Healthy, productive years, by the way. You know, if I've learned anything from movies, it's you want a healthy, productive years. So that is my wish for you. Many healthy, productive years for you and for yours, you know. Nightmares, adventures. Thanks for the 3 months. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is well. Well, hello to you too. I hope you are doing great as well. Yeah, everybody. It's been an interesting last few days. I think all of us have been like, wow, this stuff is pretty crazy. Computer guy, what's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for the 5 there. There's not a statement, but it in and of itself is a statement. As I say many times, the statement is back in the channel. And that is very much appreciated. I mean, you folks are awesome. Let me make sure I've not missed anything. And I'm going to get ready to send you all over, you know. What is that? Oh, I see it now. I thought somebody had sent me something like brand new that was crazy. But then I saw it was something different. Next thing you know, we'll see Lug posting the Tucky's holding back her contributions. Hello. That's funny. No, yeah, she gets hers. We went to a convention one time, and that was crazy. We actually showed that live. You know, she had collected a bunch for her birthday, and there's a big like card, comic, and video game convention that comes through here. And we went over there. And they went crazy because they had money and they hadn't been to a convention. That's a great convention, by the way. They have a convention that comes through here, and they have, those like old schools. Like it's not one of these new giant schools, but they're pretty big. Like you have a town that has a decent sized population, and they have like a one giant building, that they put in cubicles and everything. But it's usually like it's divided into 2 halves. Well, we have a convention that comes out that one half of like one of those old buildings is just filled with video games, pinball, everything you can imagine is all directed in there. And you get to do whatever, you get to play all of that. And it's free with the admission. So you pay whatever the admission price is. You don't just walk around like most conventions just give you that. That's it. No. For 3 days, man, you get to bust up all kinds of games, and it is amazing. They have the TVs set up. I'll have to look up the name of it because I love that convention. It's not huge, but it is awesome. I've rarely been to a convention where they let you, do more than walk through the door with the price of admission. But for this, I mean, you could sit around playing video games for freaking days if you wanted to. And the kids, I took them over there. They have not seen a lot of pinball games. They've seen a few, but you don't see them when you go out anymore. So some of the pinball games they had set up, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was so much fun. Then the kids to leave was not very easy either. All right, it is 4 minutes till. So I'm going to redirect you now to What the Hales. Let's have a good raid. Again, tell them Tux and appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow. Like I said, I don't know if Megan, if she'll be broadcasting because she's sick, or if I'm broadcasting. By the way, TST, appreciate you. Check Venmo. Oh, let me look real quick. With TST. Give me 1 second. I was getting a drink of water, so I just looked and I hadn't seen it. Oh wow, goodness, man. So. Thank you, TST. Appreciate that. Sent a hundo over. That is wild. Thank you for Lug and Bug. That is great. Well, I'll tell them both. Actually, I'll surprise them both. I'll pick up what I'll do first is the oldest stuffed animal that she wants, I'll just be like, yeah, why don't you show me which one it is, and I'll buy it, you know, because she has money. She's been saving it. She's been doing whatever. She's been doing chores and stuff. So she's excited about that. But I'm going to let you all go. Thank you, TST. That is absolutely amazing of you. I appreciate you all. Let's get over there. Love to you guys.